Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Today we've got a video response to a comment from the comment section because I found the comment rather interesting and I think that a written response would have been too long, so I decided to make a brief video about it. We're going to talk about the name of a style of ninjutsu, of Japanese ninjutsu, and its translation into English. So it's more of a linguistic note. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so I think that this is also, apart from the fact that it would have been too long, I think it's interesting to have these kind of videos every once in a while because it's a kind of a different form of interaction between me and you community, considering the time you spend writing comments. So every once in a while I will choose a comment and do a video response. So let's read the actual comment. Mr. Metatron, I appreciate the Mr. there. Okay, blah blah blah. Hatsumi of the Bujinkan school teaching Ninpo Taijutsu. His martial art goes back to the Togakure Ryu of ninjutsu. Hatsumi, I don't believe speaks English well, but I can promise you his English is better than my Japanese. Good for him. He recently announced that Togakure is translated wrong. He said it didn't mean hidden door, like everyone has said since the need to translate it into English arose. He said it actually means concealed door. Okay, why the change? As a Japanese speaker, does that matter? Okay, so Ryan, thank you for the comment, and let's answer it very quickly. Well, first of all, let's examine the Japanese word. We're talking about the word Togakure, so the name of this style. It is made of two kanji. It's kind of a compound of two logograms. The first one is to, and it means door, kind of a Japanese style door if we really wanted to be specific, and then we have gakure. Now, before talking about the actual translation and talking about how accurate is to say hidden or concealed, let's have a look at the word. So the word gakure, it would be difficult to find if you don't know that it's actually a altered pronunciation, because the original pronunciation is kakure, kakureru, that's the verb. The reason why you have a g instead of a k sound is because it's a common phenomenon that happens in Japanese when you have two kanji in a compound together, and it happens when these kanjis are read in the kun yomi. Now the kun yomi or kun reading, for those who don't know, is the original Japanese pronunciation of kanji, as opposed to the on yomi or on reading, which is the Sino-Japanese version of original Chinese sounds. Now in this case it's clearly kunyomi, it's not onyomi, because the original Chinese pronunciation in Mandarin of these two characters would be hu ying, so it has nothing to do with Togakure. We can immediately identify it as kunyomi, and in kunyomi what happens a lot is that the second character, its pronunciation, we have a modification of the first sound. Now in this case what happens is that we have a voiceless velar plosive as opposed to his counterpart or voiced velar plosive. In other words, g instead of k. Does that actually change the meaning of the word? Absolutely not. So the meaning we are looking for is the meaning of kakureru. So kakureru in any professional dictionary can be, it tells you that it can be translated as both to hide and to conceal. So the question has to do with English rather than Japanese. So let's consider the difference between to conceal and to hide. Okay, first thing to say is that these two words are synonymous, and there is a very slight difference. So what we need to examine, well, two differences in this case, and what we need to examine now is, after considering these two differences that we will talk about in a minute, are these differences big enough to justify a different translation? Well, to conceal does carry the idea of an action which is deliberate in nature, meaning that when you conceal something, you do it because you have someone you want to conceal it from. To hide also, however, has this possible translation, but it also carries the idea of something which happens randomly. For example, you've got a treasure chest which was hidden from or by or because of a landslide, earthslide, avalanche, whatever you want. So, and then you just happen to find that out and observe the phenomenon. But again, they both have these possible translations and they are not mutually exclusive. Hence, the fact that he chooses to translate it as concealed door, it's only putting emphasis to the idea of a deliberate action of concealment rather than something which happens spontaneously, which I think it's quite obvious since it's the name of a style created by humans, of stealthy spies which the ninja or shinobi no mono wear. So at the end of the day, I think they are both viable translations. Let's have a look at the second difference. The second difference has to do with the level of formality, to conceal being more formal or slightly more formal than to hide. But this is something that happens a lot. The reason being that if we look at the etymology of the word conceal, it comes from Middle English, Old English, from Old French, and ultimately from Latin. And words that come from Latin do carry a slightly more elegant and formal feeling to them. But as far as the translation is concerned, we are not adding anything new, we're not bringing anything new to the table. And this is something that is very specific of the English language, it being a Germanic language which has over 40% of its vocabulary deriving from Latin because of Roman conquest, and most importantly because of the Normans. So this happens a lot. At the end of the day, you can say that you went to a matrimony or you went to a marriage. They're both the same thing, it's just matrimony sounds more fancy. You could say diminish or abate, you could say fatigue or weariness. But at the end of the day, the concept is still the same. Yes, the writer of Harry Potter could have said the room of secret rather than the chamber of secret. Perhaps chamber gives us more the idea of a castle indeed. But yeah, chambers of a castles are rooms after all. So my opinion is, whether you translate it as hidden door or you translate it as concealed door, they're both acceptable, and the fact that this gentleman says that one of the two would be erroneous is just redundant. Okay, I hope that this answered your question. Thank you very much for asking, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.